Next is 54th question. With reference to environmental impact assessment, which of the following statements is or are correct? It is a tool to identify the environmental, social and economic impacts of a project prior to decision making. EIA in India is statutorily backed by the Environmental Impact Assessment Act of 1996, and third statement, EIA helps in cost reduction of the project. You have to select the correct answer using the codes. 1 only, 2 and 3 only, 1 and 3 only, 1, 2 and 3. So with regard to EIA, see, EIA is also a very important topic which is having current relevance. So revise your part of EIA. Already a main question has been asked from this particular part. Last year a question was there from EIA part. So it's very important for you to revise and have a closer look upon with regard to all the matters that are related with EIA. Okay, that is having current relevance. Now, what is EIA? It is Environment Impact Assessment. So, whenever a developmental activity or a developmental project is going to take place, it is very important for us to assess or for us to evaluate the impacts of that particular project upon its surroundings or upon the people who are living in that particular area. So, that particular assessment which is taking place prior to decision making of that developmental project is what is termed as EIA or Environmental Impact Assessment. So, basically it is a decision making tool, or it is a process where we are foreseeing the impacts what all are the severe impacts that could be caused when this particular project is happening. Okay. So, that is EIA. Now, what all are the benefits of carrying out EIA is that first one is that we can foresee what is the impact, that is the socio-economic impact on the lives of people living in that particular area, as well as the environmental impact. Okay, so we can foresee through assessment, we can foresee, and by foreseeing we can actually reduce the cost and time of the completion of this particular project. Okay, so that is with regard to EIA. Now, initially when EIA was actually, when we see the evolutionary process of EIA in India, we can see that initially it was not having any statutory backing, and in the initial stages it was the EIA process, it was carried out as an administrative matter, but later on in the later on stage, with the coming of Environment Protection Act of 1986, EIA also got statutory backing. Okay, so now we can say that Environment Impact Assessment has statutory backing under the Environment Protection Act of 1986. So initially when it was beginning, that when we see the process of EIA, evolutionary process of EIA in India, we can see that initially it was not having any statutory backing, but with the introduction of EPA, Environment Protection Act of 1986, EIA has got statutory backing. So it is basically Environment Protection Act of 1986 under which EIA is coming, right? Now coming back to the question, the first statement says it is a tool used to identify the environmental, social and economic impacts of a project prior to decision making. The basic aim of EIA, okay, the basic definition of EIA. So first statement it is right. Coming to second statement, the second statement says EIA in India is statutorily backed by Environmental Impact Assessment Act of 1996. So, is it so? No, we have seen that it is Environment Protection Act of 1986. So, second statement here it is wrong. See, if you can judge just like the first statement here, one is right. Okay, if one is right, then definitely B should not be there in your answer. So, B you can rule out, because first statement is a right statement, a general statement. It says about the basic definition of EIA that you should know. So, you can eliminate option B. Now, coming to second statement, yes, EIA is backed by Environment Protection Act of 1986. And second statement here says it is Environmental Impact Assessment Act of 1996. Again, it's wrong. So, if 2 is wrong, you can eliminate. Yes, again, you can eliminate options having 2, that is D. You can eliminate D. The remaining is A and C. Now, Third statement says EIA helps in cost reduction of the project. Yes, that's a very general statement. If you can think with logic, you can see like we are foreseeing what all are the impacts that will be caused by executing this particular project. Okay, so since we are foreseeing, actually we are reducing the cost, right? So EIA, the third statement, it says it helps in cost reduction is also a right statement. So here your answer is option C, 1 and 3. So this is how you can apply the elimination technique as well. So C is your answer here. Question number 56. With reference to persistent organic pollutants, which of the following statements is or are correct? The first statement says they accumulate in the fatty tissue of both living animals and human beings. As you move up the food chain, concentration of persistent organic pollutants tend to decrease. And the third statement, Convention on Long Range Transboundary Air Pollutants is dealing with persistent organic pollutants. You have to select the correct statement here. 1 and 2 only, 2 only, 1 and 3 only, 3 only. Now, with regard to 56th question, see here it is asking you about persistent organic pollutants. Now, when we dealt with the important environmental conventions, we have seen all these conventions there, right? So, the Stockholm Convention on Persistent Organic Pollutants we have seen. So, in that particular area we have studied what is persistent organic pollutant. So, basically persistent organic pollutants, they are actually lipophilic. What is lipophilic? Lipophilic, which means they actually get accumulated in the fatty tissue of living organisms. Okay, they get accumulated in the fatty tissue, that is lipophilic. They get accumulated in the fatty tissues of the living organisms. And what happens is that as we move from one trophic level to the other, yes, this get transferred to the higher trophic levels, and we know this is persistent organic pollutant. It is a pollutant, and we have studied about a process called biomagnification. So, what is happening in biomagnification? As the toxic substances or as the pollutants go to higher trophic levels, they get magnified, right? They get magnified. So, that is biomagnification. So, the same thing will happen here as well, right? Because it is a pollutant, it is toxic, so it is a pollutant. So, what happens? The same process of biomagnification will happen, which means as we move from one trophic level to the higher trophic level, there this POP tends to increase rather than decrease. Okay. And when we talk about the convention, yes, Stockholm Convention on Persistent Organic Pollutants as well as the Convention on Long Range Transboundary Air Pollutants, all these are dealing with POPs. Okay. So, here when you look the statements, first thing says that they accumulate in fatty tissue of both living animals and human beings. Yes, with regard to persistent organic pollutants, that is a right statement here. As you move up the food chain, concentrations of POPs tend to decrease. See, is it so? As we move up the food chain, or as when we go up the food chain means when we are moving to higher trophic levels. So, when we move to higher trophic levels, there the amount of pollutants or toxic substances, it will get magnified. Okay, that is what is the process of biomagnification. So, second statement here it is wrong. It does not tend to decrease, it tend to increase. So, if second statement is wrong, you can eliminate option B as well as you can eliminate option A. Now, you know first statement is right. Okay, if you know first statement is right, then definitely directly you can reach the answer without looking the third statement, that the answer is option C, 1 and 3. Okay, so anyway 3 is also a right statement. Convention on Long Range Transboundary Air Pollutants is dealing with POPs. Okay, so here your answer is option C, 1 and 3 only.